Hello everyone! Well, answering another question that was just made about my last video answering thing. So this I'm going to make a little bit longer just to make very clear what is it all about. So I was speaking about identity of Brazil, the identity of Brazil in art, in music especially. And I say that I was born in the south of Brazil, and in the south of Brazil we have a completely different culture from the rest of Brazil. And the rest is much more actually. We have much more Brazil up. But the point is, in different parts of Brazil, we have different cultures. And the ones that we most see being promoted everywhere are normally the ones that are around São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro, and a little bit about also Bahia, and then the Northeast also is a lot of culture from them is promoted, especially inside Brazil, but a little bit outside too. So we know, for example, samba. Samba represents normally this area of Rio de Janeiro and São Paulo mostly, but it doesn't represent the south. So me, for example, I was born in the south of Brazil, like 60 kilometers from Uruguay, very near to another country. So in that place, samba has no effect when I was born. We didn't listen to samba in daily basis. It's not part of our culture to listen to samba music, and it was not part of our culture also to listen to the Northeast music like the baião. Is not part of our culture. The forró, the carnival as it's shown on the television was not part of our culture. So it's completely different. Of course we have the party carnival we have, but it's not by far it's not the same thing. And this is much more media-like things than real culture from our part. And because of this kind of thing, I say that when I was proposed here in the last video about making kind of fantasy over Brazilian themes, I say that to me this is a little bit difficult because as a Brazilian myself, I never feel myself connected to what is called Brazilian. So in the sense of, I am not someone that I will play a Brazilian fantasy and I will add samba. But if I don't add samba, people will not recognize it as Brazilian, you know? Or if I do not add baião, forró, or rhythms that represent what most part of people know as Brazilian, they will not recognize it. I say, oh, this is Brazilian music. They will not even think it's Brazilian music. Some will say, oh, this looks like Argentinian music if I write. Because the main idea is that what I will recognize as Brazilian is what is from my area. But the rest of Brazil and probably most part of the world will never recognize that. So samba, bossa nova, all these things are completely out of my growing as a musician and my growing as a Brazilian person. Brazilian people in my age, they do not used to listen to bossa nova. And some, of course, listen to samba, but the ones that listen to samba, they are not normally from the south. They are normally from Rio de Janeiro, São Paulo, and other areas. But not normally from the south. It's more rare to find people from my age that use it to listen too much samba all the time. But of course, we had the samba being promoted by television. But I'm not a television fan, so I'm not someone that watched television, that care about television, and so the media that they promote is out of my main knowledge, especially now, especially in the last 10-20 years. But when it comes to some very old tunes, samba, for example, that are old tunes like Aquarela do Brasil, the Brazilian watercolor, I played this and I make a recording of this. And people say, okay, but you are a Brazilian and you are making all this speech, and so why you played samba if samba do not represent you? Well, the same way that I would play a Viennese waltz and I was not born in Austria, you know. So I can play Brazilian music, I can play Argentinian music, I can play American music, I can play music from wherever country it is. Because as I said already in another video, I feel myself as internationalist. I never carry a flag of Brazil saying, oh, I'm Brazilian, because I'm not proud of being Brazilian in the sense that it's not a country that helped me in any way to become what I became. And I asked plenty of times, I asked help in the right places, and I was never helped. So I'm not here to complain about this, but I'm explaining why I will never be the guy that Brazil will say, oh, this is our greatest son. No, I will never be I'm not their son. Clearly, I'm not this. Okay, I am out of this. But I cannot say to you that I am completely cold for the land I was born, in the sense of I can have that feeling of home in some song, yes, but that song is not a famous song and is not a Brazilian anthem, is not the anthem of my state. But there is a song, for example, that is very special to me, that is called Potro sem dono, and the translation of this title would be something like coat without honor. Coat being the male young horse, a coat without honor. And the lyrics of this song I feel very beautiful, very special. And the song itself, I remember listening in a long play, that old black discs that we use to put to listen to music in the 80s and 90s, the early 90s, but mostly 80s. And I remember in the 80s, maybe around 87, 88, I don't remember exactly the year, but around this, I think, I remember that I listened to this song for the first time, and I loved the song from that time, and that sounds like the sound or the music from my land, or let's say my real anthem, the anthem of my land, let's say, that would represent me in some way. But of course, this is not an important song in the sense of historical music or something that changed the life of someone that's learning music. No, it makes no difference. It's a very personal experience. And as a personal experience, I would never say to anyone, oh, you need to listen to that. Because this is just me. It's my own expression, my own feelings. And when I teach, I always care about teaching what is important, even if I disagree. Yeah, sometimes I don't like some composer, and I say, but the work of this guy is great, even if I don't like. Yeah? So I teach what is important, but in this case, I'm speaking about something personal. So it's very important to make differences here, because I'm not saying that this piece of music will change anyone's life, okay? So, but anyway, if someone wants to listen to this, I will put here on the description of the video, so a link from the original song. Actually, not the original song, the one that I listened to, because there is the original song was written by Noel Guarani, and is a very old song, pretty nice too, but the one that I have the connection with is the one recorded in the 80s by a band called Os Veteranos. That means the veterans, or something like this. In that time, this is a band that just played the kind of music that was writing with the based in the culture of the south of Brazil. So this song especially is very connected to the style of the music from the south of Brazil. And you are going to notice this doesn't sound Brazilian for most part of people, I suppose. Unless if you are from Brazil, you will never think this is Brazilian. But actually, that is what make me feel connected in some way with some Brazilian thing. Is the south of Brazil is this kind of song. So, that being said, this explains why I played, for example, Aquarela do Brasil by Ari Barroso. That is a samba, but is just a special song that I feel it will be interesting on the piano. Also, why I played Feitiço da Vila by Noel Rosa. That is a completely different composer too. That's not related to my culture in the sense of part of Brazil. This is Noel Rosa was from Rio de Janeiro, if I'm not wrong. And the music of them I feel is special and goes over the it's not something for media, it's not is part of a culture from some place, and this is enough to make me interested. Doesn't mean that I will include them in my feeling of Brazil, but doesn't mean that I will not play them if I like. So it's different things. So I was answering about why I don't make a Brazilian fantasy, because my Brazilian fantasy would sound too far from what everyone expects as Brazil, because I am not just from a different part of Brazil where everything is a little bit different, but I am also different from the people from my part. So it makes me really strange, let's say, for this. So I don't think I'm the most appropriated for doing that. That being said, I think this is enough. I hope this explains a lot my view and why I'm not a Brazilian pianist. I never promote myself as Brazilian pianist. I'm a pianist, composer, but I'm never promote myself as the Brazilian guy. I'm not. I made projects where I played, for example, just Brazilian music when I was in Brazil, and it was very, very difficult to promote this inside Brazil, by the way. I make projects about sonatas, Brazilian sonatas, and wow, it was more than 100 sonatas that I was studying to perform, and basically no help to promote that inside my own country. So, and sonatas from all around Brazil, so from a huge country. So this project never become anything, and I gave up long ago. And so I'm not a Brazilian promoter, but I can play often some Brazilian music that I love, like for example Alberto Nepomuceno, Heitor Villa-Lobos, Carlos Gomes, Lorenzo Fernandes, Leopoldo Miguez, Francisco Mignoni. There are plenty of composers that I like too much, Brazilian composers, and including living ones like fantastic Amaral Vieira. It's a great composer, still alive. And so there are plenty of great people around. And Dimitri Servo, that was not just another composer, is also a friend. Is a very special friend. So you know, and plenty of others, many young generation like Celso Franzen Jr. And so it's really something that I would be happy to, if I have the opportunity to play most part of these works, but not all the time we have the chance, because I'm not the Brazilian pianist. I'm not someone that play the Brazilian music as my main work all the time. Enough. Okay. See you.